Welcome to The Explainer. So, today, we're taking a pretty fascinating journey together. We're going to explore the complete life cycle of a modern web developer in 2026. If you've ever looked at a beautifully designed application and thought, man, how do I build that from scratch and get it on the internet for the whole world to see, literally without spending a single dime on hosting, well, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to go from learning the absolute basics of web development to launching a live app completely for free.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting the web development roadmap, the projects you need to build first, building for mobile devices, clearing up free hosting versus free domains, and finally, the top free hosting platforms.
Section 1, the Web Development Roadmap, Demystifying the Journey.
You know, if you do a quick search online, becoming a web developer can look honestly incredibly overwhelming. You see these massive, complex charts with dozens of branches and frameworks. But actually, scratch that. We can condense the whole shebang down to just 4 critical milestones to give you a clear bird's-eye view. Step 1 is just understanding internet basics, how a browser sends a request and a server shoots back HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Step 2, responsive styling, mastering the box model, flexbox, and grid so things look awesome on any screen. Step 3 is where the magic happens, bringing those static pages to life with JavaScript interactivity, handling user clicks and dynamic content. And finally, Step 4 is deployment and hosting, getting your code off your local machine and out onto the live web.
Section 2, projects to build first, from static to interactive.
Now, the absolute best way to learn these 4 steps isn't by just reading about them. You've got to execute actual projects. You have to get your hands dirty. The progression here is totally key. You want to kick things off with beginner projects, like a personal portfolio to really nail your HTML and CSS structure. Then maybe try an interactive quiz or to-do list. That teaches you those simple CRUD operations: create, read, update, and delete. Basically, how to manage data. Once you're comfortable there, you step it up to advanced apps. Think e-commerce platforms, social media clones, or real-time collaboration tools. These force you to deal with the heavy lifters: complex architectures, payment gateways, scalable databases, and instant data syncing.
And you know, when you look at a live website creating example, or if you're showing examples from app videos, those abstract code concepts suddenly become a visual reality, right? Take this skill-sharing app interface. This isn't just static text. It's set up to show a live view of proposed talks and comments. So whenever someone submits a new talk or drops a comment, everyone viewing the page sees it immediately, no refreshing needed. That introduces a massive technical challenge called long polling or real-time syncing, where the server has to push data to the client instantly. Actually seeing this live interaction is what truly bridges the gap between basic theory and real-world application.
Section 3, building for mobile devices, mastering the small screen.
So, over 63% of all global web traffic is now on mobile devices. Because of this, responsive design is absolutely not a nice-to-have anymore. It's completely non-negotiable. I absolutely love this design philosophy from Shopify because it hits the nail on the head as to why designing for desktop first is a total trap. Think about it. If you start with a massive, wide layout and then try to frantically compress it to fit on a phone, you just end up with this cluttered, slow, deeply frustrating mobile experience. Mobile-first design forces you to prioritize. You figure out what is truly essential when your screen real estate is tiny, and then you scale that up for the larger screens. To pull that off, we need the right toolkit. Let's briefly demystify the technical jargon here. CSS Flexbox is your go-to for one-dimensional layouts. Think simple rows or columns, like a nav bar. CSS Grid? That handles the two-dimensional stuff, letting you control rows and columns at the exact same time for your main page structures. And native CSS tools like container queries and fluid typography, these let your layouts and text magically adapt to the size of their specific container. The best part? You can do all of this without relying on heavy external frameworks.
But hey, mobile responsiveness isn't just about flexible boxes on a screen. It's about physical human touch. Physical interactions completely change your user experience logic. You've really got to design for the thumb zone, that bottom third of the screen that's easy to reach when you're just holding a phone with one hand. And please ensure your tap targets are at least 48 by 48 pixels with 8 pixels of spacing between them. Small tap targets cause mistaps. Mistaps cause frustration. And frustration? Well, that causes users to abandon your site entirely. All right, let's say you've done it. Your site is beautifully built, the mobile UX is flawless, and it works perfectly on your local machine. But how do you actually launch it so the rest of the world can see it? And more importantly, how do you do it for exactly $0? Section 4. Free hosting versus free domains. Clearing the confusion. We really need to clear up a massive point of confusion that trips up a lot of beginners when they hit the launch phase. The absolute crucial point here is understanding the difference between free hosting and a free domain. Free hosting means a company is basically handing you server space to store your website files and making them accessible to the internet at zero cost. That's great. However, a free domain connection just means that the hosting platform allows you to point your own custom website name to that free server space. Finding a truly free custom domain name itself, yeah, that's incredibly rare. You're still typically going to need to pay a registrar about $10 to $15 a year just for the rights to the custom domain name itself, even though the hosting part is 100% free. Section 5. Top free hosting platforms launching in 2026. Which brings us to the grand finale. This just brilliantly illustrates how many incredible options developers have today to get their code live without ever opening their wallets. Synthesizing the data across the modern cloud landscape, we can see exactly which platform perfectly matches your specific project. If you built a static site and you want unlimited bandwidth, Cloudflare Pages is arguably the strongest option out there. Built a modern web app using React or Next.js, Vercel is the gold standard for that, offering just an incredible developer experience. Netlify is another amazing alternative, super famous for Jamstack sites. Sites built entirely on JavaScript, APIs, and markup. And it features built-in form handling, which is super handy. And if your project requires an actual server-side backend or database, Render will run those services for free. Just a quick heads up though, free backend services there will sleep after 15 minutes of an activity, so it might take a few seconds to wake back up for the next visitor. Now, what if you don't want to mess around with command line tools or Git repositories? Platforms like Pooter and Static.app are a real game changer. They allow you to literally just drag and drop a zip file of your code and boom, your site is live instantly. If you specifically need a traditional PHP and MySQL setup to self-host something like WordPress for free, Infinity Free offers unlimited disk space for exactly that use case. And of course, if you're a developer looking to host project docs or a coding portfolio straight from your repo, GitHub Pages remains incredibly reliable. So let's put it all together. You've conceptualized your project, followed the roadmap, guaranteed a flawless mobile experience, and picked the perfect cloud provider. Hitting deploy on that first modern web app is just an incredible feeling. Your digital resume, your creation, is completely ready for the world to interact with. The barriers to entry have officially been eliminated. In 2026, the tools are remarkably powerful, the roadmap is clear, and the hosting is completely free. The only question left is, with all of this at your fingertips, what will you build and deploy today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy coding!